Hi guys, my name is Nonima Tikela. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So today I want us to talk about George Baloyi, the state prosecutor, and Judge Rata Mokgwatleng. There are a few things that I think we have noticed. I want us to do a deep dive into how Senzo Meyiwa trial has been run and under the leadership of Judge Rata Mokgwatleng, how many times did Judge Rata ruled against Baloyi, and how Baloyi reacted when Judge Rata said no to him. We are going to do that now, okay? How many times did Judge Rata Mokgwatleng ruled against Baloyi? And secondly, when did he say no to Judge Baloyi specifically? And how did Baloyi react when the judge didn't stand up for him? Those are the three things that I want us to look into in this video. Okay, let's do reality check for starters. Yeah, there is no official count of that or verified public record that says Judge Rata ruled against the state this X number of times. But this is what I want us to look into because there are so many things that have happened in that courtroom. There's a procedure, there's hundreds of rulings, there's objections, admissibility, and procedures that needed to be followed. And most of those things are not formally counted or published, and only major rulings get reported in the media. And those rulings are always looking Baloyi look nice or great in the general media. When I say general, in the traditional media, that's how I must put it. Yes. Now, secondly, now let's look at clear, verified times the judge said no to the state. Ne? And these are the strongest documented moments where the judge ruled against the state, Baloyi specifically. Okay. One, the big one, secret confession recording that was rejected. This is the most important no in the entire trial of the Senzo Meyiwa murder. And the state, Baloyi especially, tried to introduce a secret audio recording of Ntanzi's confession, and the judge ruled it inadmissible. Why did he do that? Accused was not told he was being recorded. That violated constitutional right of Bongani Ntanzi. The judge said allowing it would mean harm fairness. It would mean they are harming fairness and bring justice into disrepute. This is a direct rejection of Baloyi's argument. Why this makes it so cringe and stuff. Baloyi knows that Magistrate Cronje did say that Ntanzi was not aware, and yet Baloyi still went as far as requesting that it must be played, and the defense rejected that request because Aibo, this is a magistrate. You are an advocate and an officer of the court. We are all officers of the court. We know we are not supposed to record anyone without their knowledge. That is regarded as illegal. But Baloyi still went as far, and then that's when Judge Rata was like, we're not doing that here. We are not doing that here, okay? Now, second time, limitation on how confessions can be used. Court ruled that the state cannot freely use an accused confession against other accused or co-accused. This weakens a core prosecution strategy a lot. And Baloyi was not happy with this. He wasn't. The third one, procedural pushbacks and courtroom control. Not always headline rulings, yes, but consistent patterns. Judge interrupts or restricts lines of questioning, stops argumentative questioning, forces the state to stay within legal limits. These are soft no's, okay, that came from Judge Rata, but they matter a lot in a trial dynamics. It happened in that courtroom of Judge Rata. That was the second point, right? The third point is that here is the twist, okay? It's very important. The judge has also ruled for the state in major ways, right? Confessions were declared admissible. Judge ruled confessions were made freely and voluntarily. This is huge for the state. It rescued the state case. Without this, the case could collapse. Okay, so what does this pattern actually show? That the judge is not against the state. He is doing two things at once: blocking unlawful or weak evidence, allowing poor evidence, or meaning confessions. Why? That's why both sides sometimes feel the judge is against us. But the video is about how many times has the judge said yes, no to Baloyi. When he says no, fourthly, the point number 4, when he says no to Baloyi, what does it look like? Let's look into that right now. In court, it's not dramatic like the movies. It usually comes as that is not allowed, move on, cancel, that is argumentative, the court will not allow that. These moments happen frequently, but most are not reportedly publicly. But because we do watch the case, so we see these things live during the time it happens. Point number 5, Baloyi's real reaction pattern from observed court reporting plus legal behavior. This is point number 5. So it has other points about perhaps 3A. Ubaloyi is someone who knows how to compose himself. So he rarely explodes when these things happen. This knows happen to him. He is looking like someone who is a disciplined prosecutor. He usually accepts a ruling, adjusts the strategy, and continues. But deep down, there is something that he does. We'll talk about that later. B, he tries to recover immediately. Example, when the audio recording was rejected, he pivoted back to return confession evidence and let that one slide because there was nothing that he could do. He knew he was trying his luck there. C, he sometimes pushes the edge. Ne? This is why I'm saying Ubaloyi, sometimes he does not show that he's disappointed and stuff like that. He acts as someone who is disciplined and he recovers quickly when it comes to these no's. Sorry, and so he sometimes pushes back, pushes the edge, ne? Argues strongly before ruling, tries to stretch legal interpretation, but once the judge rules, he does back down, but he tries his luck again and again. We'll talk about that at a later stage. The real power dynamic now is that this is what most people miss. The judge doesn't need to stand up for Baloyi, but he does, okay? The judge's job is to control him. He tries, not fully. So when Baloyi gets shut down, it's not personal. It's the judge saying, stay within the law, or I shut you down. Now, for me, Judge Ratha sometimes, the most times that he has said no to Baloyi is when he sees something that has to do with the Constitution. I've noticed that Judge Ratha respects the Constitution because when it comes to the Constitution, he doesn't really play there as much as there are times where he goes and clocks there, but he is very careful when it comes to the Constitution. I don't know if you guys have noticed that. He's very, very careful when it comes to that. Anything that has Section 35, Judge Ratha, we are hot. Judge Ratha calculates his moves, his ways, and everything. I don't know if you guys have noticed that about him. Now, confirmed no moments. Secret confession, recording rejected, limits on confession use enforced, multiple courtroom restrictions ongoing. Confirmed yes is when confessions were admitted. That was a massive win for the state. But right now, Judge Ratha looks like a judge that is like, I'm going to watch my back. Whatever I do from now on, especially after the confession of Ntanzi, in my view, has failed dismally. Now, Judge Ratha is, I think he's going to be watching his back a lot. He's going to be watching his back a lot because right there in front of him, he tried to warn Baloyi, do not go point by point, line by line when it comes to these witnesses' so-called confessions, because we're going to have problems. And rightfully so, they are problems now, because everything that he has tried against Ntanzi Baloyi, it failed dismally. It failed dismally, and now it's not nice being him. It's honestly not nice being him. And Judge Ratha has seen it coming, and I don't know how he is going to go about trying anything that has to do with assisting the state. Now, to the state people, perhaps they are saying, yeah, Judge Ratha is destroying the state. But in my view, Judge Ratha is acting stronger and smarter, because things are not looking good. And in the long run, there could be what you call a commission of inquiry for this case. And no one wants to find themselves in such a situation where everything that they did, every objection, every ruling, and every word they said in that courtroom will be used against them. No one wants that, because now they will be watching a certain clip and asking what was happening here. Why did you behave like this? So Judge Ratha is here and is like, me, I do not want to find myself in such situations. I don't know if you guys have noticed that about him. He's a man that is like, me, I do not want to find myself in such situation. So the judge is controlling the state and forcing them to prove their case the hard way now, because the judge is also seeing Uguti. The stakes are very high. He tried. He really tried, but now he is left with nothing but to say no in so many occasions to Baloyi, and in so many instances, and Baloyi did not see this one coming. I don't know about you. What are your thoughts when it comes to this? Because I've seen Baloyi trying to explain his way out of objections or out of rulings after judge, but we'll talk about that in another video. The bottom line is that things are not looking good for him. Things are not looking good for the state, and Judge Ratha is not playing that game with Baloyi, and Judge Ratha is not going to be saving another person instead of himself. And now you can see that there's a real tension in the Senzo Meyiwa trial. Nothing shouting, no drama, but something far more dangerous. A case being tested piece by piece in real time. And the question now is, can the state survive that pressure? Or is the system quietly exposing its weaknesses? And Judge Ratha does not want to find himself in that situation. That entanglement is one thing that the judge does not want to find himself into. What are your thoughts when it comes to this? Let's talk in the comment section. I want to hear your views. Thank you so much. I'll see you on our next video. Bye-bye.